Hi everybody! Thanks so much for joining me here again for yet another month of exploration in the Herb of the Month Club. We are now into September, so we're looking at burdock. It's actually one of my favorite root vegetables to eat. I'm sure you've heard me say that time and time again if you've been following me at all. So I'm very excited to show you it today. Important things to know about burdock is that it is often considered pretty weedy. And obviously the burrs, which are these guys here, these get stuck on clothing quite easily. So you can be spreading the seeds without even knowing it. I'm sure if you've got a dog, you've probably had run-ins with these before, getting stuck in fur and things like that, or on your shoelaces. These are called burrs, and burrs are actually the original Velcro. A Swiss engineer in the early 40s kind of noticed how the barb and hooks of the burrs would stick to his dog's fur, and he made a prototype and used it as a fastener. This was literally the original burdock, or Velcro, burdock was. So you can use it like Velcro in survival situations and things like that. Burdock is actually a biennial, which a lot of people don't really even know what that means. A lot of people hear about perennials and annuals. A biennial is a plant that takes 2 years to complete its life cycle. So the first year of burdock is spent growing the leaves and the roots. That's why it's best to harvest the roots from first year plants. First year plants look like this. Just some leaves on the ground. If we look, this one leaf is much bigger than my hand. So you can get the idea that they're quite large in their size. And these guys all around here are from a first year plant. A second year plant looks like this. So it flowers and then goes to seed, and right now it is in its seed form. So this is actually the end of burdock. So this big one here is at the end of its life cycle. Actually, when burrs are dry like that, that is when they are the most sticky and how they are most attracted to your clothes and things like that. When they're first kind of blossoming in the early summertime, they are a little bit less prone to sticking, but not by much. If we were to rub my shirt on here, oh, we didn't get any stuck, but that's okay. If we look closely, these can actually stick on skin as well. This does not hurt, by the way. And of course, that's what it would be like for poor puppies with tons of them stuck in their fur. So we don't want to have a lot of that. Important things to know about burdock is that the root system grows, the taproot grows quite deep, often like 3 feet deep. And what that means is that it can pull a lot of toxins out of the soil. So you got to be kind of careful where you're harvesting because you don't want to be eating that. So for example, if this was growing in an area where there was like an oil spill or construction site contaminants or anything like that, it would not be choice edible by any means. The edible parts are many. So these leaves here are edible. You can eat them raw, but they're quite substantial. They're thick and they're a little bit hairy, almost leathery. It is better to chop them up into very small pieces to cook with, or to make sure you're cooking it. So chop it up if you want to eat it raw, or cook it, and it will help soften it. Another thing that you can do with it is actually use it to wrap. You use 3 layers of leaf, and you can wrap up a potato inside and put it right into the coals of your fire and have a fire baked potato. Just watch out for steam when you open that. The first time I ever had it like that, I was so eager for dinner. I did not think about it, and I just ripped it open and got a face full of steam, which is not fun. So definitely be careful with that. But otherwise, that is totally doable. So it replaces tin foil, which is awesome if you don't want aluminum in your diet. Another thing that is edible is actually the stalk of the plant. Now, because this one is at the end of its life cycle, it's not going to be very good. You want to get it earlier in the springtime if you're going to eat the stalk. And basically, you just want to peel it and prepare it how you would prepare like asparagus. So usually roasting it or steaming it, that kind of thing. The root is the powerhouse. So that is the one that is most used, that's the part that's most used in medicine, as well as food. So the root is commonly known as a famous vegetable called gobo, G-O-B-O. It is very popular in Japanese cuisine, but also other kind of Eastern cultures. And it has been brought into North America as a popular item. So you can actually go to grocery stores, a lot of them, and they will carry it. And it's actually very affordable. So it's something that you should look into. To dig up the root, it is better on the first year plants, like I said. So to tell that you have a first year plant is by the leaves that are growing. So remember, if you see a flowering one that is tall, that is second year. Even this little one here is a second year that has done its life. So these big leaves all attach down here, and down here is where the new stalk of the plant will grow up in the springtime. And that is the one that we'd want to dig the roots up now. So remember that digging up the roots kills the plant. So you won't have a second year plant growing there. So if you have burdock growing in your yard, you see these big leaves and you're scared about it being weedy or it spreading, eat the roots. Or at least dig up the roots, because then it cannot keep growing. Yeah, so we've got lots of different components with burdock. It is the root that's most commonly used in medicine, and it's used usually in tea, sometimes in powdered form, sometimes in tincture form, lots of different ways. So if you want to preserve it, it is best to do it in either alcohol or dry it. I have little dried burdock root or gobo in little pieces that I toss into my soups and stews, occasionally into my sauces and things like that. But it has a pretty potent flavor, very distinct flavor. So experiment and see what works for you. The only time that burdock is really not a good thing to be eating is if you have a bowel obstruction, or if you have major constipation. Then you want to look at using a laxative or something like that first to loosen things up. Burdock can help regulate bowels, but we don't want to be using it on, obstructed bowels. Yeah, so thanks so much for coming along with me on another walk in the woods, and we explore burdock. I will be back in a couple weeks to show you how burdock has advanced through the weeks, and we are at the end of Calgary's grow season, so we may have to dig through some snow the next time. We'll see how lucky we are. Thanks so much for joining me here, and don't forget that you can add a paid membership where you get a lot more of an in-depth exploration. Have a great night. Thank you.